Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Nick McConan, for inviting me on the show to spread the knowledge. So it's Dee Sinclair, and my book is Rape, a Man's Point of View. So that's Rape, a Man's Point of View. Now, it's a very touchy subject, really, touchy title. But it's not to disrespect a woman's point of view. It's more to be part of the conversation from a man's perspective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the cover of the book, and then I'll go to the back of the book where I can talk to you and read a paragraph on the back of the book. So if I can show you this book here, that's the front cover of the book, and it's got the red hand of danger, which is a man. Surrounded by that is the female symbol, and together, specifically like they are there, it makes a lot more sense the way it is once you get to the back chapter of the book. What I'm going to do is just the bottom there is just balancing the male and the female energies. Little balance there. Balance is quite important. And on the back of the book, I've got a little diagram at the top there, which I'll tell you more about. But I'm just going to read you this little caption at the bottom here. And it goes like, why a man's point of view? I hear you ask. Well, spiritual logic says if a woman believes her trauma started with a man, then psychologically her mind may need it to end with a man too. Whilst women are always going to be the best form of support for another woman, as there's safety in numbers, spiritual logic may require she needs answers that only a man can provide if she believes it started with a man. And her mind is still screaming, why, or why me? So the thing is, is she going to get answers she needs from a man? That's the question, because men tend not to speak. The reason men, I think, don't speak is because, well, they don't speak in an authentic way anyway. They don't speak in an authentic way because if they're going to speak to another man in an authentic way, and they're trying to befriend that man, they're probably worried that they're going to put him off, because men are not used to speaking in that way to each other. So you might think maybe you can speak to a friend, but then not every man has got a friend they can speak to in that manner. So, and when they've tried before, it's possible that that friend of theirs may have turned it into a joke, which made them uncomfortable about talking about their feelings. So they don't talk to men, and they don't talk to women either, especially if they say attracted to a woman. They're definitely not going to bring out their inner feelings for fear of scaring her off. It's possible that they could speak to a female partner, say if they've got a girlfriend or wife, but then society kind of tells men, you're supposed to be the strong one. You're supposed to be the one in control. You're supposed to be the one that solves the problems, not brings the problems. So therefore, you kind of get men not speaking to any, men or women. So what do men actually do with these negative feelings they have inside? Quite a lot of men have this sort of confident facade on the outside, but inside they've got this kind of like negativity bubbling away. And if it kind of builds up inside, it can actually take some men to the point of suicide. Or if it comes out, men, well, we see what happens when men spill out their negativity in society. It can go bad and hurt both men and women in society. So it could be that the missing link could be, to solve the problem, men's feelings. But the way society tends to deal with bad men is to increase sentences, maybe make them a bit harsher. But then when we look at places like America, you've got the death sentence. But then you still see men walking on their way through life to the path of the death sentence by making wrong decisions. So it looks like the death sentence doesn't really work as the harshest punishment you can get. And over here in the UK, we've come up with another solution for solving the problems of men, especially when it comes to women. What we're tending to do is we're bringing out these adverts on TV, which tell men how to behave, or should I say, tell men to tell their friends how to behave. if their friends are behaving badly toward other women in public. So that's kind of embarrass your friend, so he's more likely to behave himself. But the problem there is, if the solution is not dealing with where the problem actually comes from, so he's not dealing with the man's feelings, it has a potential to then make things worse for women if it turns men even worse than what they are. So if the solutions that we come up with destabilize a man's mind to make him more unstable mentally, that's likely to have a bad effect on women. So I think we need to kind of find the right solution, a more balanced, sort of holistic solution that could be to do with understanding men's feelings. So with that in mind, I've got this little diagram on the back here. It starts off with awareness, and then it goes to understanding, and then you've got compassion on the other side there. So if men don't speak to women, men don't speak to men, and society is made up of men and women, then it's foreseeable that society doesn't really understand men's feelings. So if we could bring an awareness maybe to men's feelings, then maybe we could get an understanding of men's feelings. Now, if we got an understanding, it's possible that we can actually gain some compassion. With compassion, we can actually find a solution to what we now understand, which has come from an awareness. It's better than just plucking solutions out of the sky, such as TV adverts and maybe, harsher sentences, which could actually make things worse for women, I think. So that's the awareness of men's feelings part of the book. It's one of the solutions I've got to this problem between men and women and men and men. The second solution I've got is wants and needs. Wants and needs, when put together, can be quite a spiritual concept. And how do we explain wants and needs now? Well, you get up in the morning to when you go to bed at night. Everything you do, everything you think about, and everything you say is to do with a want or a need. So we're basically made up of wants and needs. Now, if you could understand yourself better from the point of view of wants and needs, could it be that you'd make better decisions in life? If you could separate the two, maybe sometimes concentrate on the needs instead of the wants. But why are we not so good at doing that? Well, when we're children, we're kind of surrounded by stimuli coming from everywhere. We've got the TV set, radio, friends, family. When we go to school, on our way to school, we probably look up at billboards. These days, they've got lights, videos running. A lot of this is telling us what we want. Not much of it is what we need. So when we get older, it's kind of understandable. It's difficult to differentiate between your wants and your needs. But some people might say, well, I know myself pretty well because I know when I'm angry, I know when I'm sad, I know when I'm, frustrated. So I know myself pretty well. But how well do you know yourself under the concept of wants and needs? You might say, well, I know what I want and I know what I need. But then do you know yourself, what you want and what you need when emotions are involved? When you're angry, when you're sad, when you're in an intimate relationship, when you've got a craving. Let's say you go to a restaurant, beautiful meal on that menu, huge calories, but you know it tastes nice and you know it's going to smell nice. And you're definitely hungry, so you need something to eat. But do you need that particular meal or do you want it? And after you've had that, do you need that dessert full of high calories or do you want it? So when our emotions are involved, it's a bit harder to separate the wants from the needs. So if we could do that, and it would make us better at decision making in life, how would we go about actually getting people to do that? Well, in my book, I kind of introduce this exercise where you can actually just list all your daily activities. Maybe do it over the day, do it over the week, over the month. And then by the side of each activity, you just put down the side effects of each activity. If it's a positive effect, give it a green star. Negative effect, give it a red star. So over time, you've got quite a lot of colours there. Now, I would say that's probably a plan for life. But why would I say that? Well, I say that because if you have been honest about how you've plotted that, you probably get a lot of reds and not a heck of a lot of greens. So if you want to make a more balanced life, surely you just basically replace some of those activities that are giving you red stars, negative results, with those that are giving you the green stars. So you get a more balanced life. You're better at planning things. You're probably happier for the sake of doing that. And you're kind of better at making decisions in life. Now, if that works for you, you don't have to keep writing those things down. Eventually, it becomes second nature. But once you become good at it, obviously, you can pass that down to your children. You can simplify those kind of exercises so that your kids can become better at decision making too. So by the time they become teenagers, they're probably quite good at making decisions. And so I would say you're probably thinking, well, what's that got to do with rape and abuse? Well, like I said, everything you do, everything you say, everything you think about has got something to do with wants and needs, even rape and abuse. So if that guy that actually raped that girl at some point in time was better at understanding his wants and his needs and separating the two, would he have still taken that path to what he actually did, where he lost his balance? Because let's face it, rape is where a guy loses his balance. That's the only reason it happens. And could he have concentrated more on his needs than avoided some of his wants? Maybe he'd have taken a different path. Now with the girl, if she had made some risky decisions in life, which had taken her to the point of where she met this guy, and those risky decisions represented her wants more than her needs, could she have concentrated, if she knew herself better, on her wants instead of her needs? And then maybe taking a different path in life. So you've got two solutions to the problem there. You've got the understanding of the awareness of men's feelings, but you've also got the wants and the needs. You can actually put them together to create a stronger solution. Now, the last part of this is the final chapter of my book. Now, the final solution here, which can be added to the other two solutions, is, well, it's a solution I don't think has probably been around for probably thousands of years, really, because I've not heard of anybody talk about this. But it's a solution that I think women would like once they've gotten used to it, ultimately. And I think men would definitely benefit from it too. But you do have to read the book all the way through to actually understand it. You can't really understand it from reading different chapters. It kind of makes sense once you read the whole thing. But my book, Rape, A Man's Point of View, you can buy on Amazon.com or Amazon.co.uk. And yeah, thanks for listening to me.
Thank you so much, David. As I said, I'd like to get into what inspired you to actually write the book, and I know that you did touch on it, but somebody did put in the chat, who's your targeted audience to read the book?
I'd say probably 60% women is probably my target, but there's a lot in there for men as well. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, in the final chapter, there's a lot women will take from that, which gives them a kind of status that they probably appreciate, but it would take some getting used to. A lot of this is cryptic, but it's hard to describe the whole thing. Once you've read it, you kind of understand it a lot more. But men will get a lot from this too, because there's a lot to do with the incel community written in the book, which I haven't really gone into, but that's another subject. But it links into this.
Okay.
And it's teaching them what to do and how to not become incels, so to speak. Which is
so is it like a warning kind of thing for women, to things to watch out for?
It's partly to do with that. As part of the book is watching out for types of situations where you can, get into a dangerous situation. And then it's kind of guidance where in other parts. It's a mix of awareness of current things going on, which you're probably not aware of, but a lot of it's to do with men's feelings and understanding men. Because there's a lot of me in this book, which I kind of tell stories and tell of my previous experiences, and I bring my feelings into that because I think it's important for people to understand men's feelings. because I think it's a missing link in all of this.
Yeah.
Because no matter
Yeah.
what's happening out there, if it's bad to men or it's bad to women, and men are causing this, it's to do with the man's feelings. But we're kind of ignoring that in society quite a lot, I think.
Mm.
So going to where it comes from and dealing with it from there, you probably get a lot more solutions that come to light, which are better than just harsher sentences, which will not do anything for people, or embarrassing friends, which again is ignoring men's feelings.
Yeah. Thank you, David.
Thank you.